There are two really cheap ways to do keto. The cheapest versions of the keto diet in this time are probably important for a lot of people who are considering jumping on. Maybe whatever diet they had at the beginning of the year kind of fell flat. Now they're looking for something new, but the state of things economically weighs heavily on all of our minds. And so what is the cheapest way to do a low carb diet? And I've talked about this for carnivore before. You don't have to fall into the cult of the ribeye thinking. You can eat plenty of ruminant red meat, get as much as you need relatively cheaply if you stick to ground beef or some of the cheaper cuts like chuck roast and other things. In fact, I've got videos on what my favorite cuts of cheap beef are, and I think they've helped a fair number of people really to reframe how they think about their carnivore diet. Well, let's say you're not ready to go carnivore. You want to go keto, and you want to do it as cheaply as possible. And there are two ways to do that cheaply. And the first is the same underlying thinking I say in my carnivore videos on how to do this cheaply, that when you're not buying a bunch of the extra junk, your prices are going to come down. So let's start there. With keto by itself should be cheaper, especially if you actually are good about this and stay away from things like bottled beverages. It's not exactly a secret to say that artificial sweeteners are something you should be avoiding on a carnivore diet or a keto diet. We know this. This isn't rocket science here. So if you eliminate bottled tea, bottled coffee drinks, bottled sodas, diet sodas, and anything with artificial sweeteners in it, one, you're going to do yourself a world of favor right there. Two, you can replace them with other things like making your own coffee at home or your own tea or whatnot, just taking it with you. And three, you're going to save yourself some money. But there are really two main ways when it comes down to the food. Is the cheapest one I would call like the quasi-dirty keto. And I'm not a fan of dirty keto by any stretch, but I get it that if you want to do this, you can only afford to do it the cheapest way possible. Then you're going to go do it the dirtiest option because it's the cheapest. And that's going to be living on a lot of spam and, hitting those sales for chicken, which I don't recommend chicken really that much, but, when I did keto first time, I ate a lot of chicken, and I did fine. Chicken doesn't bother me. But spam goes for something like $2.60 a little package on average at almost any grocery store in the country, give or take. Some will be cheaper, like Walmart probably, than, say, your Kroger's or your Safeways or other of these big stores. But on average, it's like $2.50 a can. And it's got like an 80% fat profile to your protein. For a lot of people who do carnivore even, spam is a cornerstone of what they eat because it's so very cheap. And if you've been watching me for a while now, I'm not a fan of processed foods, and spam is processed. So I'm not endorsing spam. I'm saying it is an option. And if you do dirty keto or even dirty carnivore that way, compared to a standard American diet, you're not eating frozen foods and boxed foods and a lot of gas station meat sticks and things like that. It'll still be better than the standard American diet and whatever you probably came from before. But I don't personally advise it, but it is an option for people. In that same way that if a lot of carnivores tend to overlook the frozen food aisle at the grocery store because, well, it's not on the outer edge of the store like everything else that we typically are going to shop at, the meat aisle. If you do an animal-based paleo like Dr. Saladino's diet, then you're going to go there. You're going to go to the fruit aisle, and that's about it. You do carnivore, you're going the meat aisle, the meat department, and you're going to the dairy department to get your eggs and your butter, and that's about it. But the frozen section usually will have things like frozen hamburger patties, and sometimes those things are on sale. Sometimes there's some really weird off-brands that you can buy. Now, I'm not vouching for the quality of this beef by any stretch. This isn't going to be USDA choice or anything, but they can be pretty cheap. The good rule for this is if you're going to look at these items, look at the package, read the labels. You want to make sure that your beef is just beef if it's a hamburger patty. If it's got a laundry list of preservatives in it, don't get it. And there are some really off brands of hamburger patties that the prices are too good to be true. And you'll then want to flip the package around and you'll see that they've got a lot of soy filler in them. So please be vigilant when you're doing this. Another good option for this would be, of course, Costco. They actually have grass-fed hamburger patties that are not terribly expensive for 20 of them. and I would show them on the screen, but I haven't been to Costco in a while, and I'm sure the price has changed since my Costco haul video that I did last summer. But hamburger patties are a cheap way to do it. The giant chubs of hamburger. You could sometimes find these off-brand grocery stores. They're like, there's a local one run by a Native American tribe about a 5-minute drive from my house. And I was there yesterday, and they had for $30 a 10-pound chub of 80% ground beef. I didn't buy it because I don't need it, but they had these, and these were on the frozen food aisle in like an island, and they were rock solid. Like I don't even know how you would like process that at home, break that down into smaller packs, since the thing was frozen solid and weighed, it felt like a 10-pound brick of ice that you had to carry around. But they had that too. So look for, of course, the sort of off grocery stores. But the other option is, of course, I would say a clean ketogenic diet, purely clean. This doesn't mean high quality things. All these cheap ground beefs that I told you, or the chicken and things like that, are going to still be an option. The difference is going to be you're probably not eating Spam. You might keep that in your storm supply kit, if you live in the heartland like I do, where power got knocked out for several days because of a tornado or something. You might keep Spam on hand for that kind of event, but otherwise you are eating chicken, and you're eating ground beef, and you're eating whatever is on sale. But those are still going to be the cheapest ways to do it, is a clean ketogenic diet. Because have you ever noticed that with processed foods, sometimes, the top ramens and Kraft mac and cheeses and things like that, you get, caloric bang for your buck. They're super cheap. But have you ever noticed that when it comes to like keto items, the processed keto items, you're paying a premium price for that stuff? So why bother? Why do you need those fake breads, those bread substitutes? Why do you need those keto treats? There's a whole bunch of websites out there. If you insist on eating those keto treats, and I am not endorsing that, but if you insist on eating them, there are YouTube channels and websites galore out there that will show you how to make them yourself. You do it for cheaper, and you'll get a giant batch of them for the same price as probably a package of the cookies or whatever that you might buy at Walmart. So clean keto is cheaper because you're not paying the premium price for processed high quality goods, which is what keto processed foods, how they're always marketed. So you can save some money in the most basic way by just cooking it yourself. I know that's a revolutionary thought in our time. I don't have to tell you not to go to a restaurant. If you notice, I haven't said one thing yet about going out to eat. Because that's the first place you're going to try to save money, is by going out to eat less often. I've worked in the food industry. I know how that works. Translate that to your life at home. And your body will probably thank you for it anyway. Because once again, with some rare exceptions, those keto goods from the grocery store have got some really weird stuff in them. Stuff that your body probably doesn't want. So stay away from that stuff. Cook your food at home. Hit that frozen food aisle for those, hamburger patties or whatever, like the frozen meat. Sometimes you'll find game hens, like at Walmart in the frozen food aisle or in the islands there. Those are actually some fairly cheap places to check. And check those sort of weird little off-brand grocery stores near you. You might be surprised with what you'll find there. What are some other money-saving tips you've got for the keto or carnivore diet that doesn't just involve not eating out and, eating necessarily some of the weirder stuff like canned meats, which have a place, and for some people that's the best they can do, and I totally understand that. What are some of your tips for saving money on the carnivore or keto diets? Let me know in the comments, please. Like and subscribe if you haven't. It does help, as does sharing this on social media. That helps a lot too. I'm Anthony Stine, the Practical Carnivore, and thanks for tuning in.